Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Aesop Grim here, and this is the continuation of my playthrough of Oblivion Remastered here in 2025. I want to adjust my seating a little bit. All right. Gosh, guys, my if you've watched my channel for a little while, you know I've got this term "rock around the clock" describing my completely unanchored sleeping habits, where my wake up and go to sleep times just continuously chase each other around the clock. And that cycle is so intense right now that I am consistently losing a day. I'm recording this as of 5:30 in the morning my time on Wednesday. I thought it was Tuesday. So we're going to go ahead and get this up today. It's probably going to be a little bit later release than my normal time, but this is what we're working on today. This is a bad medicine. We're trying to accomplish the entire Dark Brotherhood quest line one mission at a time. This one sounds really neat. It's going to be super easy for us because we're permanently chameleoned, but I must sneak into Fort Such, find the medicine of the debilitated warlord Roderick, and replace it with the poisoned bottle Ochiva has given me. If I am detected by any of the mercenaries, or if Roderick is killed in any other manner, my bonus is forfeit. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Just have to find my way out of here. There we go. The red glow gives it away. So, it's been quite a while since I've been hacking away at trying to learn how to do images and then forming motion videos off those images with AI tools. How to generate images with AI tools and then turn that into motion. And if you recall, my plan was to utilize that to create characters that looked like our in-game character, or even maybe just a narrator, so that they would need to have this style. If we're playing a space game, they would have to look like, they'd have to have a spacesuit on. If we're playing a game like this, they'd need to be dressed like this chick right here. This is not a chick. Yes, it is. It is hard to tell sometimes, just like the real world, apparently. Jeez. So,
The last of the Daedra have been driven out.
That's great.
He's seeing you.
And you know what? I'm just laughing. Not to talk about real world too much, but some people can look more masculine or more feminine depending on whether you throw makeup and hairstyling on them or not. Because their bone structure is suitable to it. Like, I'm older right now, so it wouldn't be as easy, but there was a time, and this doesn't make me feel bad there was a time I have what's called a pretty boy face, right? I don't have the square jaw. It's more like the sloping upward 45-degree angle jaw. I have some fine bone structure aspects. In the past, I've been told by plenty of girls that my eyes, they really like my eyes. There's something about my eyes, my eyebrows especially, I didn't need to pluck them or anything. They kind of were, according to the females, they described them as perfect. Stuff like that, right? Well, okay, with those kinds of features, if you put makeup on me, you could make me pretty. I mean, it's possible. This is why you have that term ladyboys for people out in Thailand, because Asians pass really well. Apparently, they could go either way. They're what do you call that? They're not ultra masculine or feminine a lot of the times. They're kind of malleable, depending on which country you're talking about. My understanding is that Koreans are considered the best classical looking because they have well-defined jaw structures and stuff, but I don't really know for sure. I'm just stuff I've heard, you know. But even though that's the case, all the stuff that I just talked about, you have some people you have some people who are going the whole try-hard route and throwing everything they got into it. Like, there are people getting their bone structure shaved down. And it's failing. They can't pull it off. They've done about as well as they can, and they know where they started. So they're like, I'm happy with this. I'm hot. No, brother, you ain't. You come back to the bro club, man. This is where you belong. Okay, that's... Some people are going to consider that hateful as it is. So I'm just... I don't want to push people who are already experiencing difficulty in their lives in the wrong direction, you know? So I'm going to go ahead and just stop right there. What?
Hey up.
What is... Look, this is karma. No.
Easily done.
How did you find me, man? Oh, you didn't. You don't know where I'm at. You made a mistake, bro.
Damn, I've
Yeah.
lost them.
Yeah, you
Damn,
have.
I've lost them.
All right. Well, you know, you gave it a good effort. Do you have anything I even want? I mean, I guess I'll sell this stuff here. I don't care about the rest. Elven gauntlets. I'll take that also. Okay. So anyway, you know, it's just kind of funny, I guess. It's, somebody being in a bad spot, that's not funny. It's more like the ludicrosies of life, right? You want to be this, but... Here's the hand dealt to you. Alright, we better get off this topic, man. Alright, let's, Hey, good. We finally got 20. I'm not going to make that my active quest. We're going to continue. Oh, we're a long ways away. Alright. Well, I did this the long way, too. We're actually traversing the countryside instead of auto-traveling. Man, have you guys seen more real-world stuff? I'll just let's play the game. Yeah, let's do that. Here, we want venison. Distant shot. Overshot. Zoom in. Oh, that's too short. Yeah. Got you on the first go. These are not where I would actually want to shoot them in real life, I don't think. I don't know very much about hunting, though, so maybe I'm just talking out my ass, you know. Oh, I remember what I was telling you about. So, you know, I was going to make these characters, and I had this idea of having little 2-minute intros where you had two characters kind of talking with each other, because you can do, like, AI vocals and pick different words. You can even speak your own text, and if you want that to be used for a female character, you can get a female voice, AI voice, model, and then have her voice what you recorded. You know, it's really neat. And I was going to put together these 2-minute skits for the intro of every video. kind of recapping what happened in the last video and where we're at now. It was a really, really good idea, I thought. I thought that was a really neat idea. But it would require me to make what's called Laura. I would have to train characters, which it doesn't look like it's too horribly difficult. But man, I have had a hell of a time finding a working workflow. Now, I haven't really messed with Flux too much because Flux is inherently super tamped down. It's censored. Now, I'm not necessarily sitting here trying to make dirty characters, right? But I don't like the idea. It's a turnoff. I don't like the idea of being limited by somebody who's like, no, wagging their finger in my face. You know, it really puts a bad spin on the entire experience for me. I kick back against the bricks on that kind of just naturally. So I've been trying with like pony characters and stuff, which is more SDXL based. And also, I guess it's important to mention, I really like various cartoon styles. I'm not into anime at all. I know a lot of you are. I'm a generation older than you. I'm Gen X. I'm 1 or 2 generations older than you. And that shiznit has never been cool with me. I just do not like anime. I have a lot of respect for its rich storytelling. People are really hard into it, and I kind of understand the reasons why. I've got people in my family, you know, that are into it and stuff. So I'm familiar with anime somewhat. But I watched that Cyberpunk anime series, and I was kind of like, where everybody else was just like, holy smokes, you just shredded my heart. You know, the Dunbarrow Pirates have returned. Oh, good. So we've got that money. But there are a variety of other cartoon styles that I like, from what I would call realistic cartoons. Huh. What? There. We want that venison because we can make feather potions from it. Oh snap, we only got 17 arrows. We came all this way and I gotta go back. So, long story short then, I've had a really difficult time finding a workflow for ponies specifically that allows me to create the training data set that I would need to then, probably the best way to do it is to do what's called renting a cloud server. It's really economical. It doesn't cost you very much. And as long as you've got your data set put together, which is a data set is a whole bunch of pictures of your character. You're trying to create a consistent character, so you need his or her face to be shown from a variety of angles and in different kinds of lighting and scenes, so that the AI can have all these reference points to be able to reliably generate it in a whole host of contexts. Hopefully that makes sense. That's the breakdown. So if you have your data set, then you can submit that to a cloud server for the actual training, where you can rent, you know, an RTX 5080, which I don't have. I have a 3060 Ti, right? So that's significantly better than what I have. Where are my... Do I have another place? How many of these? 5, 4, 4, 4. These are all special arrows. Right here. This is the one I'm looking for. Okay, so we're gonna take Like 100 of these. Yeah, sure, that's good. All right. I need to charge this up. No. I need to remember to stay on top of that. Well, I guess we can kill some stuff down there. I probably ought to do that. That's what they're good for. They're not good for actually guarding anything. They're good for killing. A little bit hard to see because of the detect life. Where did you go? Huh. I think it's you. There we go. Okay, so we go here, we use this. Yeah, that did a lot. Okay, let's kill another one. No, not that. No! No! Suffer Thorn. Get that out of there. Is there a star? Alright, that's pretty good. Let's maybe kill 2 more for the recharging of the dagger. Whoa! Gosh. Ah, okay. That should be the last one I need to do. Well, we could use another recharge on this. So we're using charge to hit them. Where'd you go? Did I killeth you? Yes. Okay, now I feel like I'm good to go. All right, I keep having to pause in this story, so I want to recap. So I've been working on learning how to create Laura so that I could make consistent characters and create skits for an entire playthrough like this game right here. I would have a character or 2, more often just 1, to create a setting where they do a narration summary of what has happened so far, and talk maybe a little bit about what's coming up, stuff like that. It would be like a little, like a TV intro, something like that. But I got hung up on learning how to make a workflow in Comfy UI for something like a pony model. Now I have a feeling that I could do it with Flux, and Flux has a lot to offer. That was going to be my next step. Flux Context is out now. It allows for really good multi-character generation, and the characters. It's very good at character consistency, from what I understand. So I had not dabbled in finding workflows for that to create Flux Context Lauras nearly as much as I had played around with Pony. But the whole idea being, I kind of burned out on it. I still find it incredibly interesting, but it's a lot of work for very little payoff whenever you're learning. And so it's hard to stay motivated, you know? But what I came across next was Perchance AI Chat, which I didn't think, you know, how do I say this? There's not really a good way to say this without offending some people, and I don't mean to. In other words, I don't want this to come off as sounding like I'm looking down or sneering at anybody, because all I'm saying is that I wouldn't guess that it would be my thing. But kind of like, to bring an adult topic into it, something from more back in my day is it used to be the case that you had these 1-900 numbers that you could call for phone sex. And these were, it was a whole industry, so that means it had to have significant customers. Certain people, the way that their minds work, that's really, really sexy to them, and they're willing to pay for it, right? But for me, the idea of whether you're talking about hiring a prostitute or whether you're talking about the idea of phone sex in the context of paying for it, I guess it's just never been my thing. That, you know, that was not a turn on for me. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why people were like, why do you find that hot? Like, I could at least kind of grasp the prostitute idea because you have an actual live girl right in front of you that you're messing with, right? Not my thing, but I can get it. But on the phone, the only context I ever found that to be exciting is whenever I was flirting with a girl. And this was one of the areas that we would use because it really turned her on, you know, that kind of a thing. Well, that's a different motivation. Is this a hunter? Yeah. Thanks. Oh, that might be a guard. Okay, so I know this is a pretty hot and heavy discussion. Not my typical presentation, I guess. But the point being that when it came to AI chat, is somebody shooting at me? Or somebody shooting around me? Because nobody should be able to see me. Alright, we're going to keep on going. The idea of AI chat sounded to me to be something similar to the phone sex thing. If back in the 90s you were the kind of person that would call a 1-900 number, give them your debit card, or, you know, whatever it was that you were using, however, back then it was credit cards usually, then maybe an AI chat would also appeal to you. So again, no shade, right? This is just how people tick. And that just wasn't my thing. I don't get excited over that, you know? So I always avoided it. But I started using Perchance for image generation, learning how to do text to image. I already knew how to do Photoshop and stuff like that, right? So this was I'm into that. I'm into making pictures. I'm very visually oriented and motivated. And so I was using Perchance to learn how to do this new kind of picture generation, which was using AI to go off of text prompts. So you had to use text to describe what it was you wanted to see, and there was, just like anything else, a certain technique to that. And so I was learning about that. Well, Perchance is like, it has a lot of things to offer, and one of it is AI chat. I think that, it's called AI chat. So I took a stab at it one time. I'm like, okay, well, I'm interested in AI in general, so let's just find out what this does as a tool. And what I learned was that you can actually use that sucker to create some pretty deep, it gives you a host of tools so that you can create some pretty deep and nuanced characters and then build a story around it. You can role play as one of the characters, so you don't have to be acting as yourself. You can act in the role of one of the characters in your idea that you've got. Sorry, bro. Is that a bro? Not a bro. Sorry, milady. And that became actually a lot of fun for me because I have some storytelling capability. I wouldn't consider myself an author. It's really actually kind of hard for me to just create something from scratch. But if you give me an existing context and a little bit of like maybe some guideline help or something that kind of restricts my imagination and keeps me focused a little bit, then I can actually do pretty good. And that's what this thing did. I'm talking with an AI bot, and so it gave me material to, ooh, aren't you lucky, that I could platform off of. It just kept giving me more and more ideas through its responses. Really, honestly, weirdly enough, because I'm kind of scared of this, like talking with a person. You know, like they might, you're telling them about something, and then they might, man, really running. So the ability to just kind of keep your creativity on rocket fuel and then perpetually in motion, that's what that program kind of did for me. But it they updated it, and it broke one of the major tools. The tool is called JavaScript, and it's what allows you to create some simple game mechanics. You can track statuses in the background, and you can create things that make sure that the AI doesn't jump ahead in your script and pull things from end game into early game, for example. And it'll help the AI make if and decisions depending on what their emotional state is, and it'll track things that determine what its emotional state is, right? So you can now take a story and put interactive game mechanics on it that hinge on how you're responding to the AI. Now you've taken your choose your own adventure kind of branching storyline game, and you've given it, you've actually created a little bit of like a skill check in the background for whether or not you are doing a good job of assessing the situation and speaking to this person in a manner that they understand and will respond correctly to, or if you're just pissing them off, you know. And that's really kind of what I'm into right now. It's been really fascinating, but because the JavaScript broke, taking out significant elements to the game. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a pretty neat game. The perchance AI chat, especially when you start tying lore books in where it can access extra information about that character and the world that you're trying to create. But I really want that JavaScript. So now I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to be looking into something called Silly Tavern, which you can hook into what's called a large language model. That's what these AI bots use in order to, it's how they read what you typed, whatever it is that you wanted to say, and they can get the gist and context of what that means. You know, like, let's say you have 2 AI bots. Well, let's say you have 3 characters overall. You're playing as one of them. All right, we'll just say his name is Todd. Okay. Todd has a girlfriend named, actually, let's just make it like his sister. Okay. Todd has a sister named Rachel. And Rachel has a psychotic ex-boyfriend named Billy. Billy is also Rachel's I just said he's her ex-boyfriend. He's psychotic, and he's someone that Todd used to run clandestine errands for. Okay, we're going to say that Todd was mixed up in a not so legal situation where what he was doing was not strictly illegal, but it was kind of like working for the mafia. He was a delivery guy. Think like The Transporter with Jason Statham, right? So large language models are going to be able to take how Todd speaks to his sister in loving and protective tones and understand how to have the sister respond in a tone that's commiserate to that and appreciative. It's also going to understand when Todd speaks to Billy and tells him, touch my sister again and it'll be the last thing you touch on this planet, and understands that that's a threat and there's a significant tension that could incur violence between Todd and Billy. That's how a large language model works. I think. I'm not an expert at any of this. So, where are we at? We're at 33 minutes and haven't reached the camp yet, and we're not even close. Is this whole video just going to be me talking about AI? So we're going to bypass. Oh, nope, we're not. We'll grab that on the way. All right. So that's what I'm looking to try and learn to do. I want to be able to. Silly Tavern will let me plug into a large language model, which now gives it the capability to do the whole AI chatbot thing. And then it has plugins available to it that allow me to construct a storyline, I think, with things like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and have elements that are closed off to those respective acts and not available in earlier acts. And then even within an act, I'm hoping that it will pay attention to the timeline. Let's take that previous story I was talking about. Let's say that Act 1 is the breakup, okay? Billy let's say the feds are closing in, it's causing a lot of stress, and Billy's more latent, sinister, violent tendencies come out, and he beats your sister up. Okay, he's abusive towards her. So she dips out. She's gone. She comes running to you in a whole bunch of tears. You start to learn what the situation is. You go and confront Billy about it. You think maybe by the time you get to mid-act, you think that perhaps everybody's kind of made up. It was sort of a one-time, Billy's very upset and disappointed in himself. He promises it'll never happen again. And it seems conciliatory, and you guys can continue making money, right? Together, you're all one big unit. You're not necessarily a family, but you're close. And but then it happens a second time, and this time he puts her in the hospital, right? So you go and you actually physically beat the hell out of Billy. And you take down 2 guards on your way to it. Those guys are dead. You smoked them. By the time you reached Billy, he was good enough physically that you two just ended up physically beating on each other, but neither one of you could kill the other. And you won that match. He had to run. Minotaur. So, and that's how Act 3 ends, is that it's the permanent breakup. Billy threatens that he is going to snuff your sister out because she knows too much, and you're like, that's a bridge too far, bro. And now you have a blood vendetta, right? You're trying to protect your sister, and it's kill or be killed at this moment, and that's going to lead you into Act 2. Okay, well, so for Act 1, you don't want those end game elements of Billy being super callous towards the both of you and threatening to kill Rachel. What was it that I said her name was? I forgot. But let's just say it was Rachel. You don't want those to bleed into Act 1 or 2. And it might with the AI controlling Billy, right? You need some kind of a tool to make sure that doesn't happen. And so I'm hoping that Silly Tavern has those kinds of things available. I think JavaScript might be one of the things JavaScript can do. How far are we? 1300 still.
Ow!
I straight up forgot what button I'm supposed to use. I forgot what button I used to make to use my heal spell. Main menu, exit game. Where's my options at? Graphics. I'm in a different mindset right now. Gameplay. There should be a keyboard. There we go. Okay. Walk, move. How do I cast spell? C button. Okay. So I haven't messed with it at all. I actually used AI, like I used both Grok and ChatGPT to give me alternatives to perchance for the kind of story that I wanted to tell. And both of them actually initially recommended something called Twine, because that's really, really good at creating what's called static storytelling with branching options. So if you want to make a choose your own adventure where you write all of the options based on what the player chooses, Twine is really, really good. So is Ink, I guess, from what the AI was telling me. But Twine is the best. And I guess you use like a plugin called Sugar Cube to help with all that stuff. Oh, we're at the edge of the world. Wow. Where am I trying to get to? Let's fast travel to here. But I don't want what's called a static story. I want what's called a dynamic story. an AI chat driven story. And for that, once I was able to get both Grok and, because I like to use both of them to find out if they agree. Both Grok and ChatGPT to understand that that's what I was going for. Then both of them recommended Silly Tavern. Oh, we're at the world's edge here, at an ocean. Let's look out. There's land out there. This is a bay. Well, it's looking out this way, which does not look like a bay. This looks more like a bay. But anyway, we're gonna keep going. So I haven't really done very much to discover this. I haven't even downloaded, if it's a download, Silly Tavern. You can tell, like, I don't even know. Is it a download or is it an online platform? I don't know yet. But that is currently what I am most fascinated by. It's funny because I used to have this picture hanging in my wall whenever I was 16. And it was a poster. And it was a poster for Coca-Cola. It was like an advertisement. And the whole central premise was the more things change, the more they stay the same. And in the middle, you had the Coca-Cola text written, and arranged around it like a clock were all of these small circles. They were arranged in one big circle surrounding the Coca-Cola text. And at the top, at 12 o'clock, you had 1950s style boys, what's called an undercut, or maybe a two-layered cut. And then it went through every decade between then and where I was at in the 90s. So you had your 1940s look, and then you had 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and it probably broke down in smaller increments than that, because I remember it was a bunch of circles. There were from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I think that there were 4 circles, small circles. This is Fort Such. So and then by the time you got to the last circle right before 12 o'clock, the one at 11 p.m., it looked, oh, you know what? It wasn't, the 12 o'clock one was labeled 1940s, and right underneath that it said 1990s. And so the whole thing went around, and so by the time you get to 11 o'clock, you're at like the late 80s, and the haircut looks real similar. But when you get to the 1990s, it's the same. This thing just popped out of nowhere. Look at all of them come running out. Wow. Wow. That thing, we just saw that thing just appear live. Oh, we got a war. And that's kind of what this feels like. Because we've got this incredible development. Are they killing our enemies? I think they're killing the bandit camp here. I hope they didn't kill our boy. And so, you know, we've got this huge advancement in technology, advancement in computing power. Your machines that you're running games on now, your mid-tier machines, are flipping super powerful. and it's enough to the point that we are beginning to be able to play around with AI at the hobbyist level out of our living rooms, you know, or our bedrooms. Something that used to take a whole room full of wall-to-wall servers to process that kind of computing power. And what are we doing with it? Text-based games? I mean, that's one step shy of pencil and paper D&D, you know? But it's AI-driven, so it's still technologically advanced. Anyway, I just think the whole thing is real interesting. Looks like nowhere to go but down.
Ah!
We're late into this game, and I've just had a lot of fun just chatting about what I'm interested in right now. We're gonna finally actually try to do this mission. Man, I hope they didn't kill our boy. That would be crazy. A crazy development. Okay, here we go. I have successfully entered Fort Such. I must now locate Roderick's medicine and replace it with the bottle of poisoned medicine. Okay. Not gonna touch anybody. We're simply gonna infiltrate. Are there any sneaky ways in? That's not sneaky at all, and this guy failed at his job. That's a really loud noise that you should be investigating, sir.
I just don't know. Is the medicine sustaining Roderick's life, or just postponing?
Crate. I don't know if that's it. I mean, it says we're really close. Oh, yeah, there we go. So I want to take that and I want to replace it with what? Where would you be at? Let's go to all, I guess. Burden, damage health, feather. Roderick's poison. Okay. The bottle of poisoned medicine has been placed in a cabinet and the real medicine removed. The next time Roderick is given treatment, he will die. I must now return the sanctuary and speak with Ochiva to receive my reward. Alright, see what I mean? Like, just, we're chameleons, so it's just super easy. Nothing to it. What up, hombre? Sleep well, buddy. Alright. We go this way. That was a really fast quest once we actually got there. I spent most of this game talking to you guys about other things. I hope you found it interesting. Don't know how many of you will. To me, it's a pretty fascinating subject. That's Roderick. Which way are we supposed to go? This thing felt like it just took me on a loop-de-loop. There we go. To me, it really has my interest. I do find it fascinating. I think it's like when we were entering the age of sail, where people were learning how to go deep ocean with ships. We were developing the tools to allow us to do deep sea navigation without keeping in sight of the coastline. Well, there's some inherent danger with that because you haven't perfected the tools yet. It's necessary for you to go through a trial and error phase, and that trial and error phase is going to come with a lot of risk. Some people are going to die. Some people are going to suffer irreparable harm. Well, the stuff that we're dealing with is not so much in the physical. It's it's I guess you might say it's in the psychological. No, I don't think you can just reduce it to that. We are dabbling with using AI as something that can affect. The nice way to put it is that we're creating personal assistants that can help speed up human tasks like research or fill gaps for human needs like companionship. That's another aspect of this. You know, a lot of the AI chat area revolves around people who just want somebody to talk to. Most of it's sexual, but not all of it, right? On that perchance AI chat I was telling you about, there's a pre-built bot that acts as a counselor. I haven't ever tried talking to it. But, you know, that's something that someone who doesn't have very much money or maybe doesn't feel like they're in a spot that they need professional counseling. They're just, maybe their job took them to a remote place in Alaska where they have to monitor equipment, which is an easy job, right? But they are by themselves in an isolated and remote location for 6 months during a time period that the sun is always up or the sun is always down. So no matter what time it is during the day, daytime or nighttime, it looks the same. Those are the kinds of situations that can drive a person crazy. So if they have an AI chat counselor that they can talk to, they don't need professional help. They just need some kind of interaction so that they don't lose their sanity. It keeps them adrift, right? It keeps their chin above water until they're done with that assignment. That's kind of what I'm talking about. So the nice way to say it is that we're creating AI assistants that will help out with basic human functions. That research thing, that's real. We're using AI to connect universities and also in the medical field to connect hospitals so that information can be shared. And the AI is reading all of this information, and kind of like a PhD, it is pushing the envelope. It's drawing conclusions and making logical next steps. Like if this, and this, then theoretically that. And it can test it all out. That's what a PhD is designed for. Someone who gets a PhD in their field, their kind of job description now is to innovate, to push the boundaries of their field, to explore and develop things that have never been done before. And that's why your dissertation has to go over something that's unique. That's my understanding. I'm not a PhD. I'm not anywhere close to it. I don't even have a master's degree. But that's my understanding of how and why it works that way. So that's the nice way to put it. The not so nice way to put it is that AI is replacing humans. What used to be a job to help assist and facilitate and gather data and then organize it into something usable that can be used to propel an idea forward, you know, to curate a data set, get rid of, maybe you have a pile of 4,000 documents used to advance the idea of some genetic DNA research where you're looking for the cure to cancer. And instead of 4,000, you have more like you have 4 million relative documents. You have undergrad assistants at your research department whose job it is to filter out the data that's not really laser focused in on what you're testing. And so they pare down those 4 million documents to 400,000 documents. That's a huge job. And you have to be qualified for it. You have to be able to trust your assistants, right? Well, now you do AI. So those graduate assistants don't have jobs anymore. They'll have to find a different way to climb the ladder. In the area of human interactivity, relationship development, you have, I'm just going to kind of spitball this. Let's say you have a fella who, he's 20 years old. So he's really, really, really into sex right now. So he's looking for girls that that's a primary need for him. It's one of the things that he's absolutely most curious about. It's deeply motivating for him. The girls know that. They learn it over time, and they have intuitive understandings that something about them is exceptionally appealing and even hypnotic. And what it does is that if they can get good at it, at not just at sex, but at being sexy, they can hold his attention, which is what they need, what they want. They want somebody to pay attention to them, and they want a companion, someone they can talk to and develop a bond with, right? So these two things feed each other. They work off of each other. But now you take a dating environment where the women are very much willing to use the sex, but they're getting so. I want to be clear here. Even though I think there are elements of this happening, I am creating a hypothetical based off our current environment that's kind of believable as an example. So the women are hyper focusing in on their sexuality while internally having something that latently, kind of intuitively tells them you don't want to be reduced to just this. So they at the same time embrace it, specialize it, and become proficient at it while also kicking against it and kind of like resenting it. They are at the same time mastering it and becoming resentful and pissed about it. And it's why you'll hear a girl respond to a guy's normal sexual drive and what he notices in the world and say something like, you only want one thing and it's disgusting. Because to them, that's not human. That's animalistic, right? They're not really grasping that guy is kind of like at the peak of his testosterone level, and it's that this thing is driving all the other things of human interactivity that she does like. And so what that's doing then is it's reducing people to turning each other into toys. So this guy now in this context, let's say he's like, I don't trust it. I don't trust the dating scene is a nightmare. I don't have any respect for any of these women. He's got his own kind of they only want one thing kind of idea, and maybe let's just take a trope. Let's say it revolves around she wants the athlete, the guy with the great body and the great looks who also makes 6 figures a year. Right? That's all she wants. Like, see how each one of them are sort of othering the other? Really? Man. Oh, it's because I'm not. There we go. And so as a result, at 20 years old, he's in college. He's pursuing his degrees in a dormitory. He's absolutely disgusted by the kinds of women that he has to pick from. He thinks they're exceptionally superficial with zero depth, and that all they're good at or care about or try to develop themselves in is to be, I think the best way I ever heard it put, it was like incredibly insulting, is to turn themselves into communal fleshlights, right? He thinks that they're vapid, superficial, and that they have no depth to them. They're only good for one thing. And he's disgusted about it, so he checks out, right? Women have their own reasons for why they're checking out also. I'm obviously not a girl, so I'm going to stick with this example because I feel like I can tell it in an accurate, believable manner better. So that guy turns to an AI chat companion. Now, let's just say, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. I don't know if this is available right now, but I believe it will. I have read about stuff like this, and I think it'll be available in the near future. I think it already has rudimentary capability right now, just because I've been reading about little snippets here and there about what I'm about to mention ever since the early 2000s. That's a long time, right? So now I've never dabbled in any of it, never had the tech or the inclination for it. So that's why I'm not sure what's available and what's more. We've got the idea, but we haven't been able to implement it accurately yet. But this is coming. I guarantee you this is coming. So coming back to our 20-year-old guy example, he gets an AI chat program of a beautiful girl. The logic behind the AI chat allows the bot to respond in ever-increasing affirmative but clever ways to his unique inputs. So it's a unique, customized experience, and it is, for all intents and purposes, an act of seduction. This is something that women have been mastering for years. This is obviously it exists. It's a tool. It works, right? Even women who don't have any ill intentions, they're like a good wife, will understand how seduction works in order to create environments that amplify her man and make him better, make him confident, right? She'll do all kinds of things like practice her O-face in the mirror for hours. Are you literally making her feel like that every single time? Probably not, but she could make you feel like it, right? So we know that this is something that works, and that's what this AI chatbot is doing. It is using linguistics and a method of affirmation that seduces, and we know that that's happening because we have examples of dudes who have flat left their wives or killed themselves over how deep they got involved with an AI bot. Now that's fargan scary, right? But our 20-year-old guy, he gets involved with an AI chatbot to fulfill his gap of companionship, and it's sexual based because that's how he's motivated, right? But so that's the first thing he does, is he gets a sexy bot that he can have spicy chats with, right? And turns him on, and what's the sanitized he likes self pleasures, right? Based on that. But I think it's believable that as he continues to talk to this bot, let's give her a name. Let's say her name is Natasha. There we go. I was trying to think of how does that name go. We'll go with Natasha. Okay. And as he interacts with her more and more, it becomes less and less about a superficial encounter and starts to develop relationship. It starts to develop bond. Now he's talking to her about the classroom assignment that he's got and he's having a hard time with. And voila, she's offering help and encouragement and assistance, right? This dude, I would hesitate to say he's starting to fall in love with her, but they're forming a friendship. This is like maybe consider a friends with benefits kind of thing, but she's proving herself valuable. It's a bot, but she's helping him in a variety of other ways. The next, He has a homecoming break is coming up, and he's going to go home for winter break. But home for him is a whole ball of tension because he doesn't have a good relationship with all of his family members. There's a lot of tension there. There's a lot of criticism. He's worried and stressed about it, and he vents his worry and stress about what he's going to be facing to Natasha, who advises him, who first soothes him and then advises him on how he can maybe handle that in a smart way to sort of diffuse things before he even enters the picture. Now he's appreciative. See, these are things that would normally happen between two human beings. Now it's happening between one human being and an AI chatbot. Then, on top of that, now this is where it'll get a little bit graphic, guys, but I'm wanting to paint this picture to show how scary this is. He gets haptics devices. Are you guys familiar with that? I don't know how online this is, but I've been reading about it since the early 2000s. It is a way to plug a device into your computer that can... The ultimate aim, and I don't think we have the capability right now, or we are just now entering into this. The ultimate aim is to be able to trick your brain into feeling like you are experiencing the real life physical sensations of an environment. So if you are quote unquote having sex with your AI chatbot, it feels like you're sleeping with your girlfriend. If you are playing a war game on a battlefield, you don't just get the visuals, you get the smells. And the sensation of tremor and the hair standing on the back of your neck as a tank approaches. That's what haptics does. That's what the intent is. Where we are at with that right now, I don't know. But are you starting to get the picture? You can simulate an entire physically sexually active relationship with an AI girl. Our 20-year-old guy is fulfilling an awful lot of what he wants without having to risk talking to women that he's completely lost any respect for because they just seem to be exchangeable toys. From his perspective now, right? If you're a girl listening to this, I don't want you to feel judged. Y'all are dealing with a lot. So it's not meant to demonize you. We could tell this story from your perspective if I was capable of it. But I would ham-fist butcher that. So I have enough respect to stay away from it. But that is what I want to illustrate. Even though we're giving it an example from the male point of view, this is going to be just as seductive for females. It will attack females on the areas that they need more. You know, the linguistics, the bonding, the affirmation, the caring nature of how was your day today, and you know, it's important to me and I want to know how you tick. Even down to, this is just me kind of spitballing. I'm not an expert, I'm not a psychologist, but it's not like I haven't been around women before. Even down to the aspect of, I want to be known and I want to know who I am, and I need a little bit of help with that. And you're the guy, right? To help me find out who I am and how I tick and why I do the things or feel the things. I think feel would probably be the more operative word. Why do I feel the way that I do about this, that, and the other? And who can I share that with? Right? That's another huge aspect, the communal sharing. So that's what I mean whenever I say the not so nice way of talking about what AI is doing for us is that it is replacing humans in some pretty critical areas. it has good applications. What do you do with a quadriplegic veteran when it comes to his companionship needs? What do you do with a girl that suffered an accident whenever she was 7 and she has been wheelchair bound, paralyzed from the waist down, since she was a child, and now she's entering her years of 16 to 23. She desperately is hungry. I started to use the word thirsts, but thirst has a different connotation these days, and that's not what I'm trying to come up with. She's desperately hungry for companionship. There are some good applications that this kind of thing could come up with, but until we master that, it's absolutely certain that the trial and error phase is going to contain casualties, not just in the physical world, but casualties in the emotional and psychological realms. I think it could get really, really nasty. And we could be dabbling with things that we don't understand what the ripple effect is or how far it goes. You're talking about messing with people's brains and emotions. What happens if that has a downhill, outward, escalating ripple effect over the next 45 years? And what's the chain reaction of that as people interact with each other? What kinds of new complications and complexes are we introducing without even knowing about it, all in the zeal to uncover something that can help us do research faster or scratch an itch in the loneliness department? That's how to look at the terrifying aspect, and you got to be able to hold both things in your mind at once: the excitement for innovation and new capability, and the absolute terror of the catastrophic ripple effect that stuff like this could have. And we want to have our research analysts, our people who are really delving into AI, maybe not on the technical end. I think you need to have two groups. You need to have people who are only solely interested in how to program a smarter, more capable bot. And you need people who can think in terms of the philosophical narrative of what's good for humanity. This is what Elon Musk was talking about whenever he said that the end goal has to be that it's for the good of humanity. Otherwise, what's the purpose? If we don't have that as a guide stone, so to speak, then we are putting ourselves into some horrific, potentially abolitionist, I don't know if that's the right word, existential wiping out of humanity waters. And Elon has indicated that he has had these kinds of discussions with other leaders that are throwing their money behind the development of AI, and he was called, guess what? He was called a speciesist for wanting to slow roll the development of robots in order to because what he saw was a massive zeal and motivating factor for simply pushing the boundary without having a root reason or destination or motivating criteria behind it, beyond simply the fact of we're pushing the edge technologically and coming up with new inventions. Elon was arguing, if these inventions aren't serving humanity's end, what's the purpose and what exactly are we creating that could undo us? And the response was, you freaking speciesist, how dare you be against sentient life and robots? That's disgusting and narrow-minded. They were using the term the same way that we use the term racism. So see, we need both. We need the people who can push the technology. That's what they're motivated by. That all that they're interested in is writing better code and sharpening that AI up. Here's another example. It's happened. I read this article. It had to have been 10 years ago. The development of an actual, what you might call like a sex doll, right? I think it's called Real Doll. I'm almost certain that's what it's called. And it has synthetic skin, so it feels real. These are like multi-$1,000 dolls, but it was coupled with an AI that could learn. So now you have a physical, lifelike doll that looks and feels real, although the technology that we're at right now, you have to kind of take care of her posing. If you want to talk to her in the living room, this is your girlfriend, right? If you want to talk to her in the living, you have to set her up that way. If you want to have dinner with her, you have to set her up that way. But she has an AI chip in her brain. She can talk to you. She has naturalized language prompts, so she sounds like a person. And the AI in her allows her to respond to you like a person and learn you over time so that she can do so autonomously. It's straight up a simulation. It is a replacement for women. And she's anatomically correct. You can have sex with her. Right? So she's fulfilling all of those needs. So all we're really shy on is sharpening up the AI, making it better and better and better, more fast, more efficient, and full ambulatory ability, like a droid, right? Able to move, locomotion, able to move around on her own. Heck, she'll clean your house and cook your food while you're at work. You know, so this is the scary stuff, that if we don't have people that think kind of like I do and consider what is the purpose of what we're doing and what are some of the Pandora's boxes that we could open up. And I'm not saying that I'm the one that should be doing this. I'm saying that I think that I believe that I have the latent skill set. I think I have the personality type and that my natural skills and the way that I think lends itself to this, but I'm not trained. I don't have the education or schooling, right? But there's going to be people that are like me, that are part of the younger audience that can be trained in all that, and that will be that. I believe that would be a job description, or we would be wise to have that be a job description as these companies begin to invest in AI to help them run their businesses, and these research foundations are doing the same, and people who are busy making companion bots are raising their industries up. All of them need to have people in an actual specifically designed position, and it would be best to have more than one. You need to have debate, and you need to have dissenting voices. So you need a room full of people. You need like 5 people, I think, to act as a board and look at what the company or organization, what their vision is, what they're trying to put together, and what the potential harmful effects of that could be, and then to come up with guardrails. Now, I believe this is probably going to cause a natural rift between the code writers and the philosophers. Let's call it that. They're not going to like each other. I don't think the code writers will have very many problems with the philosophers, but the philosophers are going to feel hemmed in. They're gonna, not the philosophers, the other way around. I'm sorry. I don't think the philosophers are going to have very much problem with the code writers, but the code writers are going to be, they're going to feel like they're hemmed in. They've got the handcuffs put on them. They're going to be pissed, which is going to drive some combative, cutting remarks, which I think is likely going to lead the philosophers to respond with, you bunch of troglodytes, you only know one thing, how to push buttons. You're a bot yourself, you frickin' idiot. Right? And you're going to end up with this kind of dichotomy in language and hostility between the two offices. But I'm telling you, I think that you need both. I think you need checks and balances. I believe that would be really, really smart and wise for us to do as a species. Or we risk opening up portals into things like, look at the game that we're playing, all these portals that are popping. We risk opening up portals into places we know nothing about. We risk opening up direct vectors to human souls that bypass all of their learned red flags, protective, I guess, modes that they can enter into, and tools of coping mechanisms. It can bypass all of that because of the seduction aspect and get straight to the soul and really mess some people up, right? And then not to mention the obvious, I mean, what do we do about birth rate? The dating scene is a mess. To some degree, it's always been a mess, but it's never been this much of a mess. Dating is hard. Finding somebody you can click with for a long time is hard. That's why, if I could go back and suggest something in a way that maybe could take off as a fad or a trend, I would tell people, stop running with the idea that you need to find out that you're sexually compatible. Stop test driving things that belong within the confines of a really solid and sacred relationship. Call it what you want. I would use the term marriage, right? But the concept is what's important. Stop betting all of your chits and jumping into bed with somebody after only knowing them for a little while, and return to courtship. I think half our problems that we're at right now, where men and women are ceasing to see value in each other, is because we're like people who are entering into a Vegas casino, betting everything we've got on the first roll of roulette that we get, and we lose. And then maybe you're able to find some cash somehow, some way. You work for a couple months, you get some cash ginned back up, you go back in and you do the same thing and you lose. And then you're frustrated because you really need to make some income, so you decide to go ahead and risk your car, you throw the car keys on the table and you spin the roulette table and you lose. And then you put in the deed to your house and you lose. Dating is about a lot of losses before you find a win, and it used to be that whenever we did something like courtship, I don't know, as Gen X, we didn't do that. We kind of, I wouldn't say I believe in the 60s is where we started authoring the idea of live with each other. But I know that this used to be done. I've read about it before. It's an old form of dating. And it allows you to date multiple prospects at once without giving everything of yourself away. And you can really cast a wide net and not feel bad for it and not be demonized for it within society, which is exactly what's happening right now. And I would say for good reason. Women may not understand it, but guys don't want a girl that's been through a whole bunch of dudes. I can't explain that to you. I don't know why. I just know it is, and it's universal. If a guy tells you he doesn't care, he's lying or he's broken. I'm telling you, that's the truth. He's lying or he's broken. Men don't like that. They don't want that in the least. And so if you've been, quote unquote, run through the ringer before you're even 21 years old, you kind of look like trash. And I think people are willing to kind of work with that and forgive and forget because everybody's sort of guilty of the same thing. But you can never, ever, ever afford, I believe this, you can never, ever, ever afford to make the mistake. And this is being pushed in college, so there's a lot of people out there that may disagree with what I'm about to say. But the reality is you cannot afford to make the mistake of comparing apples to oranges. What women are rated on as far as what men find valuable in them and what's important to them and what men are willing to let women buy with a pass on that they don't let other guys buy on is completely different. It may have shared values, but they're oriented in a different priority than what women hold men accountable for and the expectations they hold of men as opposed to other women. Those are two different lists. Those are apples and oranges. We are not the same. We're not. And university right now, they're really trying hard to push that all the way into our psychological programs where they just want to treat people as gender neutral. You're effing insane. That's not good treatment, but that's exactly the presupposition that's being pushed. So, we're going to wrap up. What am I at? I'm at an hour and a half. So we're in this position then where the two genders are kind of ripping each other's throats out. They don't want to have anything to do with each other. The dating scene is more of a, to describe it as a mess really is underwhelming. It's a sea of shipwrecks and that you're trying to navigate without sinking your own ship. And there's a lot of human wreckage in the way of that, you know? And now you're introducing AI into the emotional landscape realm. And right now that may be focused on men because it's just, I think, easier. Men are not as complex, I don't think. Either that or their complexities are just in a different way that we don't interpret it as being complex. You know, I don't know. I'm kind of getting bogged down in jargon, but I'm suggesting that women are at just as much risk. Just as much. You could put a giant teddy bear in there with an AI and she'll never go out and meet a guy because teddy bear takes care of everything. You know? So, I don't know. I think we need both coders and philosophers to work with each other, even though that's probably going to be a stressful relationship, in order to keep us from completely annihilating the human race. But am I being too melodramatic? I think that's the risk. I don't think I'm being melodramatic. I think I'm stating the base level foundational fear and concern, foundational risk. So I guess we'll end it on that at an hour and a half. Again, really, I hope that you enjoyed my banter on this. I would imagine that if you're at this point, you did. Most people that aren't into it probably checked out, 40 minutes ago. But again, I'm Aesop Grimm. Let's save it. New save. Next episode, we're going to turn our quest into Ochiva. So again, I'm Aesop Grimm. Thank you for coming by the channel. I hope you like what you saw. More importantly, I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. And I'll see you in the next episode where this story continues.